Hello, my pack, my tribe. Welcome to Howling After Dark. So, I want to share something with you guys before I get into tonight's show. I had a really cool thing happen to me today on Facebook. So, I got messaged by this gentleman. His name's John Yost. Real nice guy. He's a filmmaker. And he messaged me because I guess he learned about my background with the paranormal and everything, and I guess he wanted my opinion on something, and he sent me a trailer for his new movie. Now, I never talked to this gentleman before. I have heard of him, albeit it was a while ago, so I didn't really remember it, but so he sends me this trailer for his new movie, and I watched it. And hold on one sec. Let me actually bring up the info on it. Give me 1 second, because I want to get this right. So his new, I guess you would call it a documentary. It's called Alien Abduction Answers, and I don't know if he's released the trailer to the audience at large or not, but since he's such a nice guy, I figured I would kind of promote him a bit. So keep an eye out for that. It's called Alien Abductions Answers. And from what I saw in the trailer, I think there's going to be some like reenactment type stuff, but mainly it's interviews of people that have been abducted, and it's not just the dark side of it either. There's some lighter stuff in there too, which I found to be very interesting. So, anyways, keep your eyes out for that. Alien Abductions Answers. Okay, so on tonight's show. If you're one of the people that doesn't know about this case, then tonight's going to be a little creepy, a little scary, but maybe you'll find it entertaining to some degree. But even if you do find it entertaining to whatever degree, keep in mind this is a true thing. It actually happened. Okay? What I am talking about is commonly referred to as the Watcher case. So, to, I guess, truly understand it, you kind of have to go back to the beginning. I believe this actually happened, I want to say 2012. I could have that wrong. It's hard to find information on it actually because I don't know if it's closed or not, or if they what the deal is, but it's called the Watcher case, and so I'm just going to tell the story. Derek Broadbus and his family thought they were moving into their dream home, and that turned out not to be true. The first day that they were there, they received a letter, an anonymous letter that started with, "Allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood." Sounds friendly enough. But it was signed only The Watcher. Had no return address, but whoever wrote it seemed to have been watching the Broaduses carefully. And it says, "I see that you already have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. Tisk tisk. Bad move. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy." Even more disturbing, the Watcher noted the Broadbus's 3 children and asked if there were more on the way. "Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me." And in the weeks that followed, these bizarre messages from the Watcher grew more and more threatening until the Broaduses backed out of the move altogether. Well, that's not entirely true. They still owned the house, and at one point they actually tried to rent it out, and the renters had the same thing happen, basically, where they were receiving these weird threatening letters from this anonymous Watcher, who was a so-called Westfield Watcher. Well, Derek Broadus maintains that an unhinged and dangerous neighbor might have sent the unsettling letters. Others believe that the Broaduses may even have created the Watcher themselves. No. They've already disproved that because they talked to the neighbors or the people that lived in the house before, and they got a letter from this Watcher as well. Before they bought what's now known as the Watcher House in 2014, not 2012, the Broaduses were a family, average suburban family. Maria Broadus had grown up in Westfield, New Jersey, just blocks away from the house at 657 Boulevard, located about 45 minutes from New York City. The town of Westfield is a sleepy suburb where the biggest gossip before the Watcher came on the scene was the collapse of the local Trader Joe's roof. According to The Cut, which I'm assuming is a magazine or something, residents viewed Westfield as a real-life Mayberry, the fictional small town that served as the backdrop to the Andy Griffith Show. The website Neighborhood Scout listed it as one of the top 30 safest communities in America in 2014, and as of 2019, it had a median household income of $159,000. I'm assuming that's a year. But the affluent suburb had been the scene of other horrors in the past. In 1970, a man named John List infamously murdered his wife, mother, and 3 children in their Westfield home. But that horrifying crime had since become a distant memory, and most people in Westfield felt secure in their community. Derek Broaddus, on the other hand, had grown up in Maine in a working-class family, but from his humble beginnings, he had worked his way up to a position as senior vice president at a Manhattan insurance company. In June 2014, after Derek celebrated his 40th birthday, the couple closed on the 6-bedroom house at 657 Boulevard and began making renovations to move in with their 5, 8, and 10-year-old children. Then the Watcher letter started. The first letter arrived at the Watcher house on a June evening. Derek Broaddus had been painting a few walls at his family's new home, and after finishing up, he checked the mail to discover a white card-sized envelope addressed in thick handwriting to the new owner. The typed letter started off with warm words of welcome, but soon devolved into bizarre and threatening passages that described how the author had watched the house for decades. They claimed that their father and grandfather before them had also watched the house at 657 Boulevard, which was built in 1905. Do you know the history of the house, the Watcher wrote? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you there? I will find out. The letter also said, I asked the Woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened. For referring to the house's previous owners, the letter asked the children's names, saying, once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Unsettled, Derek Broaddus called the Westfield police, who recommended moving any construction equipment outside the house in case the Watcher became emboldened enough to throw it through one of the home's windows. The police also advised Broaddus not to say anything to other neighbors yet, as they were now all suspects. The Broadduses next contacted the Woods family, who had sold them the house. Andrea Woods confirmed getting an odd note signed The Watcher, but said she had dismissed it as harmless and thrown it away. She also said that she and her husband had lived in that house for 23 years and had only ever heard from The Watcher once. But Derek and Maria Broaddus couldn't shake their fear that they were being watched. The Watcher letters continue. The second letter from the Watcher arrived 2 weeks after the first. This time it was addressed to Broadduses by name, and the author listed their 3 children by birth order and nickname. The Watcher mentioned an easel that one of their daughters had set up on a porch only visible from the side or rear of the house, asking, is she the artist in the family? Additionally, the second letter made more oblique references to something hidden in the walls of the house, and thanked the Broadduses for bringing more young blood. After getting a second letter, Derek and Maria began to feel panicked and edgy around all their new neighbors who they saw as potential stalkers. They put their renovations on hold and stopped taking their kids to the house. A third letter arrived a couple weeks later. Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you. Deeply troubled by the letters, the Broadduses continued to reach out to Westfield police. Detective Leonard Lugo led the investigation for a time. Lugo suspected next-door neighbor Michael Langford, who had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. However, DNA found on one of the envelopes indicated that a woman had sealed them with her saliva, and the sample didn't match anyone in the Langford home. Furthermore, Michael Langford denied any involvement, and his family backed him up, saying there was no way he would write such a threatening note. Desperate for answers, the Broadduses enlisted a slew of experts to investigate. Derek reached out to the real-life FBI agent who inspired the character of Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs, with whom he was on a school board of trustees. The Broadduses also tapped former FBI agent Robert Lenehan to do a threat assessment on the letters. His analysis showed that the writer was likely an older person based on vocabulary and their habit of double spacing after a period. Lenehan conducted that the letter writer didn't appear overtly threatening, but their obviously erratic thoughts could suggest unpredictability. They also hired the security firm Kroll to look for handwriting matches to the envelopes, but none emerged. Still determined to get answers, the family hired a forensic linguist and former member of the band Sha Na Na, Robert Leonard, to scour local forums for language patterns that resembled the mysterious Watcher's notes. But all these efforts came up to nothing. Despite assembling an incredible investigative team, the Broadduses had no answers. At the end of the day, it came down to, what are you willing to risk, Maria Broaddus said. We weren't going to put our kids in harm's way. Finally, 6 months after the first letter arrived, Derek and Maria put the house on the market, asking for a bit more than they had paid, as they assumed their renovations would raise the value. However, after they disclosed the bizarre Watcher letters to potential buyers, all offers fell through. Later in 2015, the Broadduses filed a suit against the Woods family for not disclosing to them the letter they had received from the Watcher before the sale. But in 2017, a New Jersey judge threw out the suit, saying it could set an unreasonable precedent for what sellers would have to disclose, which personally I think is bullshit. Meanwhile, some in the community began to wonder if the Broadduses weren't sending the letters to themselves in order to get out of a house that they couldn't afford, as one resident told Gothamist. How can a couple with a $300,000 house in Scotch Plains and a $175,000 mortgage 10 years ago have $1.1 million mortgage in 2016? The Broadduses made a brief effort to have the house torn down and redevelop the lot. Their plans weren't approved, but a final letter from the Watcher arrived, threatening to exact revenge on them if they harried the house. Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something so simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away, but makes you feel sick day after day, after day, after day, after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Loved ones suddenly die, planes and cars and bicycles crash, bones break. It went on to say, you wonder who the Watcher is? Turn around, idiots. After years on the market, the Watcher house finally sold in 2019, with the Broadduses taking a $440,000 loss. And as for theories that the Broadduses faked the Watcher, Derek Broaddus flatly denies them, as he told The Cut. This person attacked my family, and where I'm from, if you do that, you get your ass beat. There is a silver lining for the family, however. According to Deadline, Netflix bought the rights to their creepy tale in 2019. Well, all I can say is this. Whoever the watcher is lucky. Extremely lucky that it wasn't me. Because if it were me, I would have found them and I would have burned their world down. Threaten me all you want, but you threaten my family. You just sealed your fate. Simple as that. But I'm sure they're getting off on all of this too, because I kind of think that the Broadus is selling the rights to the story was kind of a bad move in a way. Um, just because I feel like whoever this watcher person is getting off on all the attention, which is, I'm sure, why they did it in the first place. They're just some sick pervert with a little dick sitting in their mom's basement with nothing better to do. He's a coward, plain and simple, because if he weren't, why wouldn't he just show himself? Because he's a fucking pussy, like they all are. They're fucking pussies. They don't have the balls to fucking do anything other than throw threats around and scare people. Well, I got news for you, buddy. Don't ever cross me. Don't ever come here. Don't ever get in my face, because I'll kill you. And I'll sleep well that night. Or at the very least, I'll beat you. I'll beat you down. Because you know what I hate more than anything in the world? Bullies. Bullies are cowards through and through every single time. And you know what? I've had enough of that shit in my life. So there it is. I just slapped your ass in the face. I threw down the gauntlet. Your move. And I know my listeners are probably thinking, this dude's crazy. Yeah, kind of. But you know what? I'm not afraid. And not only am I not afraid, I can back it up. And I'm not afraid to go to war because I've been there. Besides, you know what the best thing to do when you're confronted with a bully, best thing to do is to get right back in their face. Because all of them are cowards to the core. And they would back up and piss themselves every single time. There's my anti-bullying PSA for the month. In any case, it's pretty cowardly, no matter how you cut it, to sit there and anonymously send these letters to this poor family that, you know, sure, they're rich, I guess, or at least richer than I am, but they worked for it. You know what I mean? Like this was a blue collar guy that was raised in a blue collar family that worked his way up to being a white collar guy. You know what I mean? So this wasn't like, Richie Rich with a silver spoon in his mouth. This was, a guy that fought and clawed and scratched to get this house, and then to have it all ruined by some sicko freaking pussy ass motherfucker that, has nothing better to do. That's just, it's wrong. It's all shades wrong. So, it is what it is, I guess, but I don't know, just people like that piss me off. Makes me want to fight. Anyways, on to other news. So, if you haven't heard by now, I'm saying goodbye to Ohio. I got me some land in New Mexico, and I'm going to be moving there. But I want to shine a light on this. I'm not, and keep in mind here, I'm not at all playing the victim when I tell you about this. All right, I don't want sympathy. I don't want anything. The only thing I want is maybe, just maybe, my story will serve as a cautionary tale for people. So this is what happened. There was a company called Vision Property Management. They had entered a leasing agreement with me where I was renting to own this house. And for about 6 years, everything was fine. Well, probably like five and a half, maybe. Everything was okay. And then evidently what happened was they had been sued by a bunch of people for, I guess you could call it shady business practices. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'm just telling you what I've heard. What I do know for certain is that they sold this property to another company called State Bridge, and they were great, by the way, and I have no beef with them. Um, but they did so without telling me. So I had no idea that my rent payments were going to nowhere, to a company that no longer existed, essentially. And so then I started dealing with State Bridge on that, and that was fine. And then a rent payment got returned. And then I find out I'm like, okay, well, rent payment got returned. Because maybe because I'd already paid this month's rent. I don't know. But in any case, what ended up happening from that is I find out. Well, okay, so this is what happened. So the rent payment got returned, and I'm just thinking that, well, maybe I already paid this month's rent, and that's why they returned it. Because I made a bunch of payments kind of in a row, trying because I'd been behind, and I was trying to catch up, or at least that's what I was thinking. But so the rent payment got returned, and then I went to the store to spend some of it um, on stuff I needed at the time. And when I came back, I saw that there was um, a note on my door, and it was from a real estate agent. And great lady, she's real nice. Um, but uh, basically what it said is that State Bridge had sold the property to yet another company that I don't even know the name of, to be honest, even though I've probably heard it like 3 or 4 times. Um, but evidently they're out in California, so they're nowhere near here, and they want us out. And there was some negotiation back and forth about uh, what everything was going to entail, and if you have the lease agreement, they'll enter a new lease with you, but then they have to have people come out. And see, here's the thing: the entire reason I got this house was because of my dog. That is my little well, not so little fur covered son. He's a pit bull bull mastiff mix named Nacho. He has a severe trust problem with strangers, especially men, and he cannot stand. He literally hates anybody in a uniform, and it doesn't matter what the uniform is. It could be military, police, UPS, FedEx. It doesn't matter, because he doesn't know that there's a difference. Um, Basically, what happened with him is his former owner had joined the Navy, and the owner had left him with his brother to take care of while he was going into boot camp and all that. And the brother basically threw him in a pop up cage with another dog, a small dog, and neglected them. Didn't feed them, nothing. And when my former boss, or former employer, I should say, One of a Kind Pet Rescue, got him. He was severely emaciated and had these behavioral, emotional issues. So he does not like strangers. So that's the entire reason I got this house, was not only to have him, but kind of be able to protect him, so that he doesn't end up biting people and getting put down. So that's my first and foremost thought when it came to this house. And now I'm getting told I have to get out. So my only option, as far as I'm concerned, is to get him as far away from other people as I can. So I got this 1 acre property in New Mexico. It's not paid off. I'm actually making payments on it, but that's neither here nor there. But it's a 1 acre property out in the middle of nowhere where I don't have to worry about them. Getting a hold of somebody, or getting put down. I have to worry about it. But it's just a piece of property. There's no house on it. So I'm looking for an RV or some other solution so that I can keep him, contained when I'm not there. What the fuck keeps going on? I don't know. I got a new phone, and it keeps going off for some reason. But in any case, so that's why I'm moving. I'm moving to New Mexico. I've got to be out of this house by May 15th. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen between now and then. I don't know if I'll get an RV or not. I do have a tent, so if I have to, there's that option. But yeah, so I may be off the grid for a bit. But I'm looking at options, solar power, things of that nature, just to stay in contact with people so I can charge my phone, my devices, keep online, things of that nature. But there you have it, my pack, my tribe. That's where we stand as of now. And until next time, peace out.